Everything is about to explode, and this time there's no going back. Because the one secret the bold and the beautiful tried to keep buried just detonated in the worst possible way. Daphne Rose Walton didn't just tell the truth. She exposed Ivy Forrester, and now, Ivy wants revenge. Not later, not eventually. Right now, because the moment Electra Forrester heard what Ivy had done, everything changed. Trust shattered, lines drawn, and Ivy, she lost control. It happened fast, too fast. Daphne never intended to stay silent forever, but even she didn't expect it to spiral like this. She uncovered Ivy's entire scheme piece by piece, the manipulation, the lies, the calculated moves to break up Will Spencer and Electra permanently, and once she saw the full picture, she couldn't unsee it. Daphne tried to hold back at first. She really did, because she knew exactly what Ivy was capable of. The threats weren't subtle, they weren't empty either. Ivy made it crystal clear if Daphne said anything, there would be consequences. Serious consequences. But here's the thing Ivy underestimated, Daphne's conscience. Because watching Electra being played, watching Will being pushed away, watching a relationship get destroyed for no real reason, that became too much. And in the end, Daphne chose the truth. The moment she opened her mouth and told Electra everything, that was the moment everything snapped. Electra didn't react quietly, she didn't process it slowly, no. She exploded, shock hit first, then disbelief, then anger, raw burning anger, because the person she trusted, the person who was supposed to care about her, had been manipulating her life from behind the scenes. The stolen letter, the misleading necklace, every detail suddenly made sense, and none of it was accidental. It was Ivy. All of it. And the worst part, Ivy thought she was doing the right thing. That's what makes this even more dangerous. Because Ivy doesn't see herself as the villain. She sees herself as someone who knew better, someone who believed Electra was making a mistake, someone who decided to step in and fix things, but she didn't fix anything, she destroyed everything, and now, Electra sees her for exactly who she is. The confrontation that followed, it wasn't calm, it wasn't controlled, it was brutal. Electra demanded answers, real answers, no excuses, no twisting the truth. And for a moment, Ivy tried. She tried to justify it, tried to explain why she interfered, tried to make it sound like she was protecting Electra, but that didn't work anymore, because the damage was already done, and Electra wasn't buying it. Not this time. Not ever again. Meanwhile, Daphne stood there, watching it all unfold, knowing she was the one who lit the match. But also knowing she had no regrets. Because someone had to stop Ivy. Someone had to break the cycle, and if that meant becoming Ivy's target, then so be it. Because Daphne wasn't afraid anymore, not like before, not after everything she uncovered. And that's exactly what makes this situation even more explosive. Because Ivy isn't used to being challenged, she's not used to losing control, and she's definitely not used to someone like Daphne standing up to her, so when Ivy finally turns her attention away from Electra and locks eyes with Daphne, everything shifts. The room feels colder, heavier, more dangerous. Because that's when Ivy realizes the truth. Daphne didn't just betray her, Daphne ruined her, in Ivy's mind at least. Because from Ivy's perspective, everything she built with Electra, gone, destroyed in seconds, and who does she blame? Not herself, not her actions, not her lies. No, she blames Daphne, completely, fully, and that's where things take a dark turn, because Ivy doesn't just get angry. She gets focused, calculated. Her emotions don't explode outward, they lock in, tight, controlled, dangerous. She corners Daphne soon after, no audience this time, no distractions, just the two of them, and the tension, it's suffocating. Ivy doesn't yell at first, she doesn't need to, her voice is low, sharp, cutting, she reminds Daphne of the warning, the one she gave her, the one Daphne ignored. And now Ivy says it's time to face the consequences. Daphne doesn't back down, not even for a second, because she's already made her choice. And she stands by it. She tells Ivy the truth again, straight to her face, that she had no right to interfere, no right to manipulate, no right to play with people's lives like they were pieces on a board. Will and Electra deserved better, they deserved honesty, they deserved the freedom to choose each other, or not. Without interference, without lies, without Ivy pulling the strings. And hearing that, it hits Ivy harder than anything else, because deep down, there's a part of her that knows it's true, but she refuses to accept it. Instead, she doubles down, her expression hardens, her tone shifts. And that's when she makes it clear, Daphne didn't just make a mistake, she made an enemy. A powerful one, because Ivy promises her something, this isn't over, not even close. And Daphne, she hears the threat, she understands it, but she doesn't retreat, because if Ivy thinks fear is going to silence her now, she's wrong, very wrong. And that standoff, that moment, it changes everything. Because now, this isn't just about a secret anymore, it's about power, control, and revenge. Ivy walks away first, but not defeated, not broken, focused. Because in her mind, this is just the beginning. She starts replaying everything. Every moment, every conversation, every move Daphne made, looking for weaknesses, looking for openings. Because Ivy doesn't lash out blindly. She plans. And that's what makes her dangerous. Meanwhile, Electra is still reeling. The truth didn't just hurt her, it shook her. Because now she has to question everything. Every memory involving Ivy, every decision she made under Ivy's influence, and worst of all, her relationship with Will. Because what was real, and what wasn't? That question lingers, heavy, unanswered. Will, on the other hand, is furious. Not just at Ivy, but at the situation, because he feels like his relationship was stolen from him. Twisted, manipulated, and now he's left trying to pick up the pieces, but the damage runs deep. And trust, that's not something that comes back easily, not after something like this. So now, 3 people are dealing with the fallout. Electra hurt and betrayed, Will angry and uncertain, and Ivy, burning with a need for revenge. But the real storm, that's just getting started. Because Daphne isn't backing down, and Ivy isn't letting this go. Not now, not ever. And the question isn't whether Ivy will strike back. It's how far she's willing to go when she does. Ivy doesn't calm down, she doesn't move on, she doesn't let it go. Instead, she gets quieter, and that's when she becomes the most dangerous. Because when Ivy stops reacting, she starts planning. Every step she takes now is intentional, measured, calculated. She's not thinking about apologies, she's not thinking about fixing things with Electra, that bridge. Burned completely, and in Ivy's mind, there's only one person responsible for that. Daphne. So Ivy shifts her focus. Fully, obsessively, because revenge isn't just an idea anymore, it's a goal. And she starts asking herself one simple question: how do you make someone regret telling the truth? Not immediately, not in a way that draws attention, but in a way that lingers, that hurts, that sticks. Meanwhile, Daphne starts to feel it, that shift, that tension in the air, because even though Ivy hasn't made a move yet, she knows it's coming, she can feel it. And that's the thing about Ivy. She doesn't need to act right away to make her presence known, the threat alone, it's enough. But Daphne doesn't panic. She prepares, because she knows she did the right thing, and she's not going to let Ivy twist that into something else. Still, there's a part of her that wonders, did she just start something she can't stop? Back on the other side, Electra is trying to rebuild. Not with Ivy, that's over, but with herself. Because trusting Ivy wasn't just a mistake. It was a betrayal of her own instincts. And now she has to figure out how to trust again, how to move forward, how to deal with Will. Because their relationship didn't just suffer, it was manipulated. And that leaves scars, real ones. Will wants answers, he wants clarity, but more than anything, he wants honesty. Something he hasn't had in a long time. So when he talks to Electra now, it's different. Careful, cautious. Because neither of them knows what's real anymore, and that uncertainty, it creates distance, even when they're standing right next to each other. But here's where things take another turn, because Ivy isn't just watching Daphne, she's watching everyone. She notices the cracks, the hesitation between Will and Electra, the lingering doubts. And that gives her an idea, a dangerous one, because if she can't fix what she broke, maybe she can make sure no one else can either. So instead of going after Daphne directly, at least at first, she starts pulling at the threads. Subtle moves, small manipulations. Nothing obvious, nothing that can be traced back to her. But enough to create tension, enough to reopen wounds. Because Ivy understands something most people don't. Sometimes the best revenge is watching everything fall apart on its own. Daphne starts noticing changes. Little things, conversations that don't quite make sense. Moments that feel off. And she starts connecting the dots. Because even if Ivy isn't standing in front of her, she's still there, somewhere, working behind the scenes. And that realization, it hits hard. Because now this isn't just about one confrontation anymore, it's a game, and Ivy is playing it well. Still, Daphne refuses to be intimidated. She starts pushing back, asking questions, digging deeper, because if Ivy thinks she can control the narrative again, she's wrong. But the more Daphne pushes, the more dangerous things become, because Ivy doesn't like being challenged, not twice, not by the same person, and this time, she's not going to hold back. The tension builds, slow, heavy, unavoidable. Every interaction feels loaded, every glance carries meaning, because everyone knows something is coming, something big. And then, it finally happens. Ivy makes her move. Not loudly, not dramatically, but effectively, a situation unfolds. One that puts Daphne in a difficult position, one that forces her to question everything. And for the first time, Daphne hesitates. Because this is different. This isn't just a threat anymore, this is real, and Ivy, she's watching it all unfold. Exactly as planned. Because this is what she wanted. Not just revenge. Control, power, the ability to remind everyone. She's not someone you cross. But here's the problem, Ivy may have underestimated one thing. Daphne isn't alone. Not anymore, because the truth has a way of spreading, of gaining support, of creating allies. And as the situation escalates, others start paying attention, questions get asked, lines get drawn, and suddenly, Ivy isn't the only one making moves. The balance starts to shift. Slowly, subtly, but enough. And Ivy notices. Of course she does. Because she notices everything. And that's when her plan starts to change. Because if subtlety isn't enough anymore, then maybe it's time to escalate. And that's where things become truly dangerous. Because Ivy without limits, that's something no one is ready for, not Daphne, not Electra, not Will, and definitely not the people caught in the middle, because now, this isn't just a rivalry, it's a war, a personal one, fueled by betrayal, driven by anger, and heading towards something explosive. Daphne stands firm, but even she can feel it. The pressure, the weight of what's coming, because Ivy isn't done, not even close. And the next move, it won't be subtle, it won't be quiet, it will be decisive, and it could change everything. So now the question isn't who was right, or who started it. It's this. When Ivy finally crosses the line, will anyone be able to stop her?